I'm blind
They're
again.
planning.
Stink. The one planting is stink.
Spike planted.
Rin is main. I want to
Nice, Rage.
main and sit.
One enemy remaining.
Find tower. One has to stick bomb this time.
Lost it.
Just sticking.
Nice aid.
Nice.
Yeah,
Stop
you can't
back
close
or back.
Nice ace, bro.
Communication is one of the most important parts of competitive gaming. It can be the difference between winning the entire game and shamefully perishing alone to something you didn't even conceive of. We'll talk more about aim and mechanics in the future, but having great comms is a great part of team play fundamentals that you can build the rest of your game upon. And you can practice it anytime you're talking. Every kind of team game has an element of communication, but we're gonna mostly talk about the FPS genre for a few reasons. Number one, that's where I have the most experience. But the second reason is that in a game like League of Legends, you can actually see everything that your teammates can see. In FPS, you're obviously locked to your own perspective and sightlines, while in MOBA, although it may be hard, with clever use of F keys and pings, you can communicate most of the things you'd ever have to. In fact, many members of top teams don't even speak the same language. Some teams even do silent scrims to emphasize individual players actually knowing what to do on their own. Probably the most important part of communication in games is the tone you use. This is especially true when solo queuing or you know your team's mental is easily ruined. I know everyone is different and has their own style and level of comfortability when talking to strangers. But clearly being toxic in any way will lower the chances of winning. Even light criticism, even if completely valid, can lower those chances. In a setting where you're performing, not practicing, or when your teammates are people that you'll never see again, it's just not worth the risk to lower morale. Even if later they might internalize your advice and improve, it's just not worth it. If you're so passionate about the game and winning that you feel like you have to say something, I believe in you to be passionate enough to actually choose the option that gives you the higher chance of winning. You can express your criticism if you're playing with a team or a friend, later. In the moment, I want you to treat your team like they're all your favorite streamer, best friend, or pro player, even if they aren't playing like it. You'll just win more games. People play better when they feel better. They'll be more likely to communicate too if they're comfortable. And they'll have the confidence to go for plays that I'm sure they've done in the past. I know I'm one to talk, but try to have some enthusiasm in your voice, even if you feel crushed. You don't have to be the hype man of your game if you don't want to, but just don't sadly call out a few things in the lowest possible pitched voice you can muster to seem like a cool toxic old man. I am that, trust me, it's not that great. So now it's time for a little story. I was playing for a team and we were trying out a player. We had him in for a few scrims. He was a younger dude. It was the first team he'd ever played with. It became very apparent that most of the experience he had with comms was watching pro esport games, where they would cut to the player's POV and you can hear all the pros. He was definitely not matching the energy of the room. And let me tell you, it was awful. I had a headache after an hour and we didn't take him either. And that leads me to my next point. The most fundamental mistake in communication, even at top pro levels from snippets I've heard, is that good communication is about listening. I compare it to music, which like games is a language in and of itself. Ask any self-respecting musician who's worth their weight in what is the key to playing well with others? Listening to what others are doing and playing what you need to play. When you talk, keep it clear, keep it relevant, and keep it short. This isn't your esports guitar solo. Don't say the same thing over and over again. Let others play the game, and let what you say influence their decision making. You have to keep your ears open just as much as your eyes. Don't say useless info, and try to cut out anything you find yourself saying that isn't completely necessary. For example, something I still notice myself doing a lot is cursing when I die, but there's no point to it. My teammates don't need to know that it's complete bullshit that guy had a shotgun. Information that other people on your team have access to can still be useful to say if nothing else is being said, but think of it as a priority system. For example, if your game has a kill feed, you don't always have to say that you killed somebody, but if it's relevant in the fight and there isn't any other information going, by all means do so. But the main things you should focus on communicating are the things your teammates can't know. Things like enemy spotting, damage, and cooldown use. But again, only when it's relevant. I think the two most important things to communicate are your intent and what you can do. This allows team play to happen, and is generally the most relevant to any given point in a game. I think the third most important thing to call is what you need help with, like if you need an ability from your teammate or somebody to trade kill you. But make sure to say whatever you say once at first, calmly, clearly, and when it's relevant. On the more macro level of the game, I think the days of one player controlling the rest of his team with words is kind of over. I believe the player in control has the best idea of what he should be doing. For strategy, if you have an idea for a game or a round, bring it up and let others do the same. Often the quality of an idea is less important than having an idea that everybody agrees on in the first place. But if you're playing by yourself, it'll do you really well to have a plan for the other people. But know that plans often don't go in a direction that you'll expect, for the better or for the worse. Don't let your expectations get in the way or frustrate you. Never give up. Even if you only win 1% of the games that you would have surrendered, that's still 1% more games you could have won. Before we end, I'd like to highlight a Valorant round played by the phenomenal CSGO player Elige. He has a lot of great videos of his team playing with comms, and I'd highly suggest them if you want to know more. I think he's one of the best, and this round showcases some of the things I was talking about.
I think we should just go cat.
Let's go cat, let's go cat.
We push him in. Put a suck door. 2 sucks, I'm past him.
I'm gonna flank late.
Default.
You got it.
Charles, I'm late, I'm late.
Okay. What's happening?
Door's closed. No armor, dude. Heaven and CT.
It might push you,
One enemy.
He's late, he's gonna go door. Door lit.
Okay.
I'm pushing him.
He's out on me. Yeah.
Okay.
He's close on me.
Nice, good job.
If you have any tips that worked for you in terms of communication, I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments. If you're interested in more videos like this and some that aren't, make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.